Welcome to another game review. This time a little bit different because Danwulf requested me to review my own gameplay, which obviously is flawless. Nothing that can be improved on. So this is where the video ends and goodbye. Nah, I'm just joking. It's something I don't usually do. Just because, well, reviewing someone else's game has a lot of potential because you have a different perspective. And of course, I know sort of what I did here. Um, anyway, I'm happy to do it, but I don't think it's super great gameplay, and the ending is quite quite stupid, one could say. Anyway, it's a game that Penny and me played, and we keep losing together usually, which is because we don't um, play tryhard on the ladder. Uh, and you might say, what? How do you not play tryhard on the ladder? Well, I mean, we just talk about, we're good friends, so it's like, oh, how's your wife doing? How's the job? How do you feel? Yada yada. And we just yap away while playing some Legion on the side. So don't take everything we do as like, oh, this is perfectly coordinated, perfect Legion gameplay. No, it very much isn't, and it will show in the mid game where we throw the game quite hard. Alright, so we're both playing Aristocrat because we just want to try it out and see how it feels. My role consisted of Gargoyle, Golden Buckler, Necromata, Eternal Wanderer, Honeyflower, Pilgrim, Nightmare, Disciple, Soulgate, LOD. And I didn't really know what to pick / how to approach the game because it's a little bit difficult for me. I don't really have a great starter / combo / something to play for. Disciple is good for late game, could pair it with LOD or Soulgate, but no auras, no bore, so you're susceptible to spam sense. Flower opening is bad if you don't really have a great ad for like wave 3, so you can't push 7 workers. Green Devil opening, well, not adding a tier 1 on wave 2 sucks. And I don't have a solution for wave 4. Well, you could always add the Pilgrim and go for a Giga Green Devil build. But then my only DPS really is Disciple behind it, which isn't horrible, but it's not great. Still leaves you very vulnerable on wave 14. And wave 14 is really my biggest worry from, like, right from the start. When I see this roll, I know it's gonna be a little bit hard. Sure, I will have Nightmare, potentially Doppel, but I don't really have tanks, and if you go for a carry Doppel build without any auras, any way to enable it, it really feels bad, and I kinda think you should try to go for something else. So my hope was to sort of scale into Soul Gates and see what we can do there. So I ended up picking Gargoyle, Buckler, Wanderer, Pilgrim, Nightmare, and Soulgate. Pilgrim with 1 heal on the Soulgate, it gets 6 summons out if it survives the entire wave, which is kinda good, giving it a lot of value. And Nightmare is a stable opening, and my teammate is starting Egg, so you well, I kinda wanted to have fast wave 1 and 2, and then I don't really care on wave 3 because I don't think with his role he really wants to hold the egg anyway. With Harpy, you kind of lose the egg to a robo resend, and yeah, I kind of prefer to have a little bit of push anyway. Alright, so this is what we did. Then we both king up, Penny gets fed a snail, lucky bastard. He eggs with Aristocrat, 3 workers, 14 income, gets another king up. I king up my Pota guy, and now I decide to push 6 workers because I really don't want him to try to hold the egg because he only has Buckler. It's like a very big risk for a very small reward. And also I think it's beneficial to have pressure onto Atrocity, and also I have Gargoyles, so I kind of want to push 6 in case Atrocity barely doesn't get the 60 out. Then it's really, really good. If he gets 60, I leak 60%, but I'm also highest workers in the game, so it's fine. He ends up getting the 60, Penny sacks the egg gets another king up, But what Penny does here is really good. He is putting pressure on a Atrocity. And you might say, well, with Egg, you don't really have a lot of pressure, but if you sack it, your 3 workers into 6 workers, there will be long waves. Elite Archer is weak on 5, so I think this is really good to put some pressure. You're already on even workers, you will be higher workers than the Archer player. Will be really good. My guy somehow pushes 7 workers with Pota. I don't think this is a good play here, especially since he sees that I'm 6 workers. And I decide to go full into him because of the long wave and because Penny is enabling. So I sort of do the leapfrog strategy where I want to cause a long wave 4, so Penny can punish on wave 5, potentially. And he rolls into Devilfish, which perfectly counters my Brute Send, which is pretty lucky. I think the only 2 units he can roll that are really good for him on this wave against the Brute Send are the Mask and the Devilfish. I didn't know for sure he was Chaos. Of course not, but anyway, I still think it's a decent gamble to Brute him here. Even if he stays 6 workers and like only leaks small, we have the long wave for Penny Starve. Penny gets incomed again. He's 8 workers, right? He's like turbo scaling. And he sees a Atrocity 6 workers. Well, he knows because of, doing math. But he sees, well, he has Chloropixie. There's probably not going to be a big leak. I don't have Mole in income. I don't want to do Hermit because Elite Archer will tank the boss and only the boss and survive with the DPS behind it. It's probably not worth it. So he just goes income King. I was on 7 workers and I had the Pilgrim as the very good add for wave 5. Atrocity decides to go full into me, which is very good for me because I essentially hold. Penny gets another send, very good for him. I decided to income. And if we sort of take tap right here, Penny is ahead, slightly ahead. Atrocity is on 2nd place, and I'm basically on par with Teal. Totally fine, because the masterminds we picked with Aristocrat, this will be beneficial later on once we start building our tier 6s. And looking at Teal with this lizard, I expect him to either slightly push or push a bit harder because he's strong on 6, but I already know that he will be kind of screwed on wave 7 if I get a biggish send out. I don't think with this 400 value that he is already out, that he can get a good enough answer for wave 7 to be fine there. And I also know that Penny pressured, so I'm kind of free to push here. And I know Penny had a send, so he can shift for a bunk for wave 7. So I decide to push a little bit, and I'm already prepping wave 7 with 2 more gargoyles because I know Penny will be weak there. Right? Penny just incomes, Atrocity overbuilds like always, no risks taken, hashtag 0 risk gamer, hashtag fun, thanks Jules. Right, everything as expected. And now I could push off of this DT, but I look at Penny's lane. I know he shifted for a bunk, but I can see that he has approximately 0 damage on his lane. And spoiler alert, this trend will continue throughout the entire game. So I know he will be very much leaking to a Brute Send. And also, if I push here, really, it gives me 20 more Mythium. But I already have a pre-income Mole, and I know that Teal will most likely build a Slime Mummy, which the Mole just spanks. So it doesn't really matter if I add 1 snail or 2 snails, it's not going to give me a Mimic pre-income or anything. Then I would have considered pushing, but like this, it's not worth it. So I just overbuilt, built the 2nd Nightmare, gives me a good spot to reroll, try to find an aura, try to cover. And this is what happens on this wave, on wave 7. I had the Mole pre-income, and I add the Lizard. I add the 2nd Nightmare, so I hold. I only get a Fiend, but whatever. I see 750 value on Atrocity, so I decide to push. Penny leaks to the Brutes, but not huge. So this trade overall goes very much in our favor. As you can see from the net worth, we are now slightly ahead. And my goal is now that I've leaked my guy twice significantly and that I have good push to just continue to outscale him. I don't want to try to leak him again and go for like a quote-unquote risky power merc send. I think I'm in a good enough spot to just scale. So I go for 3 DTs here. I should have done 2 king ups, but you know, it's not a huge deal. But first mistake. And I also rerolled here after building the second nightmare. And let's quickly talk about my reroll. I rerolled Treant, Angler, Serpent, and Gateguard. And my thoughts are Gateguard is mostly an early game unit, can't use it. Angler, no synergy, no real good way to scale Anglers in the mid game, so not picking them. Treant I was happy because I had something to enable my gates even more for the mid and late game. And then I decided, well, I already have 2 nightmares. I don't really need a third nightmare. And Serpent can be good to snipe some sends, is good pierce damage, is even decent swift tanking. So why not replace Nightmare for Serpent? That's what I did. Yep, I definitely wanted to make that sound. Right, so what's going on here is I could in theory push 1 less worker, but I don't think it helps me super much. I'm adding a Serpent and I'm shifting some gold so I can build a Soul Gate for wave 9. I built the Soul Gate and I thought I would be fine-ish against the Sand, but Pack Leader Brute is just very, very strong. And yeah, I just leaked too much. Should have pushed 1 less worker, added like 1 buckler. Would have been better. Penny did Grawl on 8 into Haven on 9, which is really, really good with Aristocrat. Now he's in a really good spot. And even though I leak here, like if we just look at the income, I'm still in a decent spot. Atrocity has slightly more net worth than me, but it's not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. Atrocity has a great combo with the Elite Archer Firelord. If you build it like this, you're kind of proof against 4-eye. It's a very, very strong pairing, and he also has APS to enable it more later on, so he's in a really good spot. My guy is slightly behind, and he has big weak waves coming up, like wave 12. He's not amazing on 14. 16 is going to be an issue. So his chaos has not really treated him nicely. So I felt pretty good at this spot despite leaking 83%, and I should have really... Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have leaked this much, but it really didn't matter. But at this point, we should have considered our game plan, and I also think Penny should have considered what his kind of goal in terms of build is. So well, let's be honest here. I love flaming Penny. Penny, you suck. No, but I honestly think that with his role, like, I've seen, like in the last reviews, there were a lot of people who built too much DPS. And I think in this game, Penny really built tank value for all of them. He doesn't have a single DPS unit on his board, and it's not really going to get better. He really has to either get out a lot of harpies or nightmares at essentially this point, because otherwise his build just kinda sucks. You need damage to kill the wave at some point. Anyway, so looking at our builds, if I keep the nightmares, I can be okay-ish on 14, but I only have gargoyles to tank. And my idea at this point was really to go for a pawn shop to get rid of the nightmares and to really scale into my soul gate with decent tank value kind of build. But I should have been more aware of what Penny was doing, because I saw his role and I thought, well, he's gonna add harpies, he's gonna add doppels, he's gonna add iron scales for wave 14, and he's gonna be covering my weak wave on 14. And at this point, we should have really communicated what we were doing. And we should have really made sure that we cover our weak wave on wave 14 by either forcing wave 12 or wave 13 or by overbuilding or whatever. Okay, but what we do here is, first of all, we just income on 10. I think this is a fine play and something that happens very regularly. It gives me an additional worker. My guy barely holds. Atrocity leaks. Now we are quite ahead. But I dislike this egg from Penny. And this really goes back to what I said before. Penny does not have any DPS units. And what does an egg do? Well, it gives him 3 income because he's Aristocrat. But it also gives Atrocity a free game. He's now free to pick Embargo. And this egg will not help Penny on any of his weak waves coming up, which is wave 14. And at the very, very latest, at this point, we should have realized that we are in big, big trouble on wave 14. But as we were quite ahead in this game and we were just yapping away, as we usually are, not paying attention, we didn't really care about it or think about it. And I, for myself, look at Teal's build and I think, well, I am able to leak him on 12. This will give me more gold. We're probably ahead in workers if I push now. It's fine to go 12 for me. So I decided to push for wave 12 and take pawn shops so I can get rid of my nightmares and get the tier 6s out that you really want to get out with Aristocrat because you get more income. And yeah, this is where I pushed. Well, not really. I made sure I get the Hellgate. Penny adds another bunk, another tier 6 for +3 income. But again, it doesn't really do anything for him. And he's also 1800 value. He picks GA on the Haven. Yeah, GA is a nice spell on a Haven, but only if you have some DPS behind it. And with 1800 value and not so many workers, I don't think he really has a 12 angle. But since I'm going full, he sort of gets baited to join me to go full here. And his guy just holds while being embargo. I kind of expected my guy to be embargo, so I wanted to punish him on 12. And in a vacuum, this 86% leak is kind of good for us. But it really enables them to punish us on 14. And this is the only play they had after being slightly behind on wave 10, or more than slightly behind, because our masterminds scale better than theirs, and like we're in a very good spot. All we need to do is realize that we can't allow them to go 14, or that at least one of us has to start building doppels and arcane tanks and really sacrifice their game to be fine on 14. But as we are idiots, we did not do this. And then it comes as it has to. I even built a tree of life on my gate, which is completely stupid. Penny builds a haven and a sand badger for wave 13, which brings his total number of DPS units to a whopping 0, which is pretty good for wave 13. That's just so rough. Anyway, and then we income king on 14. But yeah, I mean, my role doesn't have good solutions for wave 14. I rerolled the doppel, my only good answer for the wave, thinking that Penny is gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I just wanna have tier 6 in scale, just wanna have gates, just wanna heal them, just wanna sit there plus value, laughing at my gates, summoning 20,000 units, haha, hehe, XD. But I didn't really consider this wave properly and my game strategy. And now Penny has a doppel, but just one doppel, and it's a little bit too little too late. He also gets 4 eyes. We both leak, and they get a lot of gold from this. And if we just look at the net worths, they are now ahead, and income, we are slightly ahead, but not massively. They have a worker lead. And let's consider where we can send. Looking at these builds, wave 16 is an option in theory, but after giving them 5,000 gold on wave 14, you can never go 16. 17 is fine against Teal, but he's not horrendous there either. But Atrocity is just an Omega Beast. And wave 18, Penny is god awful. I'm fine on 18, but Atrocity is also very good there. My guy at least has an Azaria. Who knows what he's gonna roll for. 18 is not a superb target, and 19 is already way too far. 20 would be fine, but yeah, given that 19 is already too far, we can't really go that wave either. And then it gets even worse because Atrocity rolls Egg and just builds his Sakuras. And now that he's ahead, Egg and Sakura are really units to scale with that you can play very well if you are ahead. And you just overbuild and you just get so much scaling that you can never really leak and you can dictate whatever happens in the game. Now, if we had known that he has Egg, I think what I would have called for in this spot is to double full push for wave 16, expecting him to egg and to try to punish him. Because we know he's embargo, we know my guy is kind of weak on 16. But if he doesn't have egg and he just plays normally, then he is too far ahead to really punish on 16. And if they match us, our king is at 30% and theirs is at nearly full. I'm bad on 16. Penny has one doppel and a million tanks. It's a little bit rough for him to hold on 16 as well. So I don't really think we were strong enough to have a good angle for 16. Unless specifically Atrocity has egg and we double Sui on 14. Which, considering that we don't have good options, maybe we should have gone for that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we should have done it. But it's also hard to assess how far behind you will be. Like, we are on fire here and we are ahead here. And despite leaking on 14, it's very hard to evaluate how far behind you are until you really get the updates on wave 15. So we didn't push. We didn't make that call fast enough. We wanted to sort of go longer to protect ourselves and to sort of drag the game out. But with the egg, we felt kind of rough. We didn't know if they would go 17 or 18 on us. We kind of called for an income king and full send out of a little bit of desperation. Because I thought, well, they kind of want to target 18. I can be good on wave 18. So if I leak my guy here, get a shutdown, Atrocity didn't push so much. Maybe I can hold 18 for us and we can like sort of live their send. This is my line of thinking. And it's not necessarily horrible, but my guy with a King Claw and this Wandering Trebuchet, he's very, very strong on this wave. And I kinda slightly misjudged this. Atrocity is obviously holding. And then I thought, well, they skipped. Our values look decent. They will now probably go 19 on us or even 20. But I was kind of more expecting 19 because races on 20 are always a little bit iffy, especially if you send into someone that can have Chieftain Green Devil. So I thought, well, they will probably push very hard for 19 because on 19, Penny's Haven, like 19 is Penny's best wave by a long shot. So at least my guy will really push, and Atrocity probably also because the Phoenix, Archer, Mudman is really strong on 19. So they kind of want to abuse their strong wave and send us there and end the game there. So I called for a full resend, but they just went, hee hee, haha, we're not pushing, we're going longer. And they went longer. Keep in mind, our last send was 14, now it's wave 18. And we're playing a regular ladder game. Not that this is like Nova Cup or a grand final of Nova Cup. This is just a game where we try to, have some fun. Anyway, so at this point, Penny wants to FF. I'm like, whatever. Let's just wait. Let's just auto and pray. I auto send here. My guy leaks, and I'm building a few treants. Also, kind of starting to commit a bit for 20. Penny builds one more Haven because honestly, he might as well prepare this wave because next wave he's completely dead. He's not gonna do anything anyway. And when they didn't send here, I was like starting to get a little bit of hope. I was most worried about this wave because I don't trust Penny's build. Um, and I don't trust Penny, honestly. So, yeah, my team Pennywise is not a cover-wise at all. Um, so yeah, I was thinking, well, this is my weak wave, so obviously they will target my weak wave, but they didn't. Then I was getting some hope. Thought, well, I am pawn shop. I can sell essentially everything to have Chieftain Green Devil, a few gates, which give us like a good chance to hold quite long. But obviously the sense will be very, very big. But their builds aren't amazing either, and they will not hold super, super long on 20. So I was like, you know what, Penny, let's just skip income for shamans. Make sure we get a shaman, and maybe we can somehow win a race if they send stupid or something. And this is what happened. Atrocity was very confident he was gonna win, so he went for a bit of a hee hee ha ha for fun send into me, where he just sent pack leader, 8 hymns, 8 brutes, 8 robos. You can't see it here, but he sent 8 robos and 6 snails. And then with my build, I somehow held so long that they died before us. Pepe point, Pepe point. Now, obviously, it's quite hard to send into my build, but honestly, if he just sends DPS, Shaman Needlers, or even like triple Kraken, whatever, one Shaman, it gets sniped, but it doesn't matter. It gets out a buff. I will leak very, very fast, and they will 100% win the race. But they were sort of overconfident and not really considering this possibility. So we kind of snatched the game from them. After being quite ahead on 10, we threw by allowing the 14, and then they went 14 into 20 into us in a regular ranked game. And instead of tryharding till the end, they kind of stumbled and did a for fun send, or at least the Atrocity did, and he got Giga punished. Yeah, and this is essentially what happened. I don't really have anything in-game wise to show. Um, I don't think there's much to be improved in terms of building. Like, sure, I could optimize some positioning here probably, but it really didn't matter. This game was decided based on strategic decision making, and I think this is my take on the game. And maybe you found something from this analysis useful. Um, yeah, I don't think. I mean, now this was very, very dry. I hope that it's still watchable and you could enjoy this or learn something from it. And I will hope to see you next time again.